Hey everyone, I just read the patch notes for update 28.2 and noticed that they're moving to the single Bluechip revival system for all 8x8 maps, which to me is a great move. Having the multiple different systems was confusing at best. I thought this might be a good time to discuss what a Bluechip version 2 system may look like, or even just some very simple modification to the Bluechip system to make it a little more accessible to casual players and hardcore players alike. Taking the time to mock up some images to help demonstrate some of the key points that I want to get across in this video. Now, before we dive into version 2, let's discuss version 1 of the Bluechip revival system, which was introduced about a year ago as of the making of this video. Now look, I'm not going to say that the effort that Krafton put into the system was wasted, or that the system is completely broken. I think from a software perspective, it did exactly what they wanted. It preserved the hardcore aspect of PUBG, but also allowed teams to have the option to bring back a player that was knocked out of the game. We're 1 year out from the rollout of that, and we've now seen the roadmap for 2024, which is where they announced that they will consolidate Bluechip Revival into the one system with the Bluechips instead of having the comeback arenas in the various flavors that they have. So maybe it's a good time to talk about what they can do next to kind of enhance that system a little bit and not take away too much of the PUBG feeling of it. So look, I know that the North American market is probably the least important market to Krafton. That being said, I do believe that if enough people get behind an idea, they might listen. And maybe even if they like an idea, they may take it and work it into their system. Will it be the same as what's recommended? Probably not. It goes through many layers of the company. It gets refined down, distilled down, has their own spin on it. This is just a video for me to express my feelings in a constructive way and ask for you, other PUBG players, to chime in, give your opinions, your feedback, and maybe we get noticed or maybe we don't, but it's still a good idea to have some open communications along this line. So let's just dive into the Bluechip revival system and what I typically find frustrating about it. And it all revolves around the enemy team taking your teammate's Bluechip and dumping it somewhere not even too far away all the time, to the point where you can't find it. Super frustrating. Really kills the whole spirit of the feature. Now, there's got to be ways to address that, right? So, looking at this from existing functionality that was or is already in PUBG, one thought is to bring back the Bluechip detector, but change it from locating enemy Bluechips to only locating your teammates' Bluechips. Now, this could just be something that you always have. It could be something that you have to find on the ground. Lots of variations there. The Bluechip detector was introduced in update 24.1, which was not well received and removed at some point in the future of that update. It should be. Now, I can't, this is just my opinion, but it should be fairly easy to re-implement an existing feature and change it slightly. Now, the fairly easy part, I'm just using on a scale when compared to these other suggestions, not as a general rule of thumb on how easy it actually is in the code to implement this. For me, this is probably a no-go situation, but I can't skip bringing it up since it seems like that would be a very straightforward change to make and might help out people that are just trying to get their teammates back into the game. Option 2 for me is probably my favorite option. It requires a substantial amount of work on Krafton's side to implement. So this would be a fairly large to really large effort to implement compared to some of the other suggestions. But this system, I think, could really bring a new layer of gameplay to PUBG. Now, is it a good layer? That would have to wait. We would have to wait and see on that probably. So option 2 is what I would call the Bluechip overlay, where you get a tracker on your minimap, on the map, and on the compass of where your teammates' blue chips are. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to travel to it, fight for it, and retrieve it. Now this kind of, to me, is reminiscent of Call of Duty's Most Wanted system, in that the person picking up the blue chip is going to be visible to another team, and they won't be able to hide necessarily. I think that could really drive a lot of player interaction. Option 3, which I am calling the Bluechip Glow, should be a small effort to implement. It's more of a band-aid, but it would make dropping blue chips less of a thing. And that would be to add a glow to the blue chip so that when it's on the ground, you can see the glow. Now I've went back and watched replays of people that stole my blue chip to see where they dropped them, and I have literally walked right next to the spot and not been able to see the blue chip. This glow would alleviate that. Alternatively, if you didn't want to add the blue chip glow, you could place the loot indicator arrow on top of it, like you do if you have 7.62 gun and there's 7.62 ammo on the ground. That way you can find it. This also would be of fairly small effort compared to some of the other suggestions. So, are these 3 options the only options? Hell no. Are they the best options? Are they perfect? Probably not. But let's admit that the blue chip system would benefit from a version 2 that might help players get back into the game that had their blue chip stolen, and also create an engaging system that spawns more combat. I would be curious to hear your thoughts and ideas on the blue chip revival system now that we know update 28.2 is consolidating into just the blue chip system